and welcome to Relive the Legacy. So we're super excited to finally bring this series to you. So in this series, we're going to take a look back at the last 3 decades of AIESEC Sri Lanka through the stories and experiences of our own alumni. So to kick things off, today I have 2 former MCPs from 2 different generations of AIESEC. So buckle up because this is going to be quite an interesting conversation. And joining me today, I have MCP 2003, 2004, Damitha Samarakon, and MCP 2022, 2023, Kaneel. So it's so great to have you both here. How are we feeling?
Feeling good. Thanks for having us.
Okay, so Damitha, when did you actually first hear about AIESEC? So because you joined in 1998, and then we started in 1995. How did you come across it?
Yeah. So AIESEC was not very popular outside universities, but when I came to the university also, there was nothing we knew about AIESEC. So I was playing rugby at the university. We had a friend who was playing rugby and he was getting absent quite often for rugby practices. We were thinking why and asking him, from him, he said there's a conference coming up in this organization called AIESEC, so he's getting ready, he's organizing that. Since we wanted this guy in practices, the entire rugby team decided to support him. So that entire group actually joined AIESEC.
Whole team went.
Yes.
So can you relate to that?
Not necessarily. I joined AIESEC in my first year of uni.
Yes.
And the only reason I joined was because I had a friend whose sister happened to be in AIESEC. And so he knew about it secondhand. And he really wanted to join as well. But he didn't want to go alone, obviously.
So you want to drag your friend as well. Like he wants to drag
Yes, he wanted to drag me along as well. And that's how I joined AIESEC.
That's how you joined. Well, actually, I heard about AIESEC before I came to uni through one of my teachers. But then she only mentioned AIESEC. Then I went home, asked my sister what is AIESEC, and she was like, she gave me a very iconic answer, which I'll let others guess what it is because the hint is she's not actually an AIESEC, so something non-AIESEC would say. So okay, let's start off with the first question at Damitha. So we actually started AIESEC through the IC 1995, right? So before that, we did not have any active membership here. And we just suddenly started in 1995 and we continued on. So we have had almost like a 30-year history there. So how did it all start? Who took the active role in it?
Yeah. So I'm talking about certain things 3 years before what I heard because I joined in 1998 and I started in 1995. So the credit goes to Manoj Rajaya, the person who started AIESEC in Sri Lanka. He was Sri Lankan. He was in AIESEC in India, then went in to be a MCVP in AI, finance. So he wanted to bring, because AIESEC conferences are all happening within the European region. So he wanted to bring a conference outside Europe. So he lobbied while in AI and wrote IC 95. That's how IC, a non-member country, for the first time hosting IC. So he put an entire team together. The first IC, the OCVP of 1995 was Dinoshi, who became the first MCP of Sri Lanka. So that's how AIESEC started in 1995. 600 delegates, entire Colombo hotels were booked. So that was the biggest conference at that time that happened in Sri Lanka at that scale.
So I see the hotel, like what it happened, like it was happening in Colombo or was it
the
around?
Main conference in BMICH. So delegates were involved because the Colombo hotels were not sufficient to accommodate 600 plus people. So that was a big boost to start. So after that IC, they set up, Dinoshi became the MCP. If you want, I can tell the sort of up until my term who were the MCPs.
We'll probably have a list of it.
Yeah, so the young generation would know who was there.
Totally.
So first was Dinoshi, then there was Roshan Nantanna, called Josh, a famous TV presenter, and then Shantini Balasubramani, third MCP, then Vidura Ralapanawa, and then there was sort of a bit of a off period. Yes. And then Nilum, Padmaka, Sifan, and then
that was you. That was in 2003.
Yeah.
So anything you have heard about like IC 95? Did you know about Manoj?
I did not know about Manoj. From what I've known, it was all about Dinoshi Kaipa.
See, that's a new discovery for us, I guess.
I guess so.
So back then, I actually want to know what was the dream that AIESEC Sri Lanka wanted to build through. So when we started, or we had like a dream of after 30 years, or were they actually thinking of having AIESEC in Sri Lanka for like 30 years? What was the actual dream?
In 1995, I think it was so new. And since Manoj was not in AIESEC, he was alumni, although he started AIESEC in Sri Lanka, so he transferred whatever he knew. Basically, what he wanted to do is give this great experience that people in other countries, young people in other countries, having to the Sri Lanka. So that was his dream, I think, in starting 1995. But yeah, so exactly what we want to do was sort of a question we were learning out of. But then, so gradually we sort of, were shifting here and there. Exchanges happen, 96, 97. Then automatically any organization has its ups and downs. So we had sort of a downward thing going on 99. So entire leadership team collapsed. There was an AI sort of an intervention. And then, so we had to start all over again.
So that was in 2000, you all like at the new beginning. So
I would say starting from 99,
99.
2000. So 99, yeah. So after the APIDS, that's where we got to know what AIESEC is all about. So until then, we were doing car wash, DJ, so it was just a fancy entity just for people to get together. We never had, a real long-term vision to AIESEC. But once we, attended APIDS 19, it happened in Sri Lanka. We know exchange is the core. While through exchange of different cultural experiences, we need to develop leaders. So that really sunk into us what we need to do, what's the uniqueness of AIESEC in Sri Lanka. So in that team, there was Sifan, Padmakar, Didum, myself, so entire set of people who was going to lead the next 2-3 years. So there we build, okay, why we need to have AIESEC, what we need to do, the importance of living the 5 values of AIESEC. So we established those, and from those sort of we move forward.
So what was like the core dream was to have like an exchange-driven culture going forward in the future, or like y'all want the 5 like values as well to include everyone? What was the dream?
Yes. So an overall dream was the 5 values that we want to leave an AIESEC, a person. When you look at an AIESEC, these 5 values you would see from that person. But we had also a dream, like what you said before joining university, people would have heard of AIESEC. Companies want to hire AIESECers because of their leadership qualities, and every AIESECer would have gone through an exchange experience, so they value cultures and diversity in the world.
So, Kaneel, when you joined AIESEC back in 2017, do you think that dream that Damitha mentioned was still alive at that time?
I think to a certain extent, yes. To a certain extent, the dream was partially realized, I would say, because that I joined in 2017, AIESEC was doing a huge number of exchanges. I think we might have been very close to our highest number of exchanges we've done in a single year. We're doing like 1,000.
That was around?
I believe the peak would have been around 15, 16, but even still at 17, 18, 18, 19, we were still doing more than 1,500, 2,000 exchanges a year. I remember CES itself did around 450 IGV exchanges in 1 year.
That sounds like a dream right now for us.
But yeah, to a certain extent, I think AIESEC in Sri Lanka at that point was living the dream, but obviously being AIESEC in Sri Lanka, it's never really enough. The entity always tries to improve and continue growing.
Okay, so same goes to you. Like before I ask this question, actually from Damitha, I want to know from Kaneel, what do you think? Like, if you have to imagine, I don't know whether you already know about this. Like, what do you think? Very first national conference. I'm not talking about like Asia Pacific or IC. What might have been the first national conference like?
I assume the first national conference would have been around 96, 97 then?
Yeah.
Okay. I would assume it would be a very chaotic, because there's a lot of people who haven't organized a conference before trying to deliver a conference. Maybe they might have seen it before, but not really first-hand practical experience. But at the same time, I've attended a lot of chaotic conferences as well. It's really fun because you don't know what's going to happen. It's an entirely new experience. So I assume it would have been chaotic, but at the same time would have been...
Around how many people attended?
I'm guessing around 100 maybe.
100. Is that the case? Is that the actual picture of it, or do you want to paint us the picture?
No, we are 2 times higher than what the actual was. Yeah, so during 96 until like it was more planning meetings, like 30, 40 people. 96 until 97, 98, and so on. Then after APLD's 99, we sort of structured how AIESEC should be. National conferences like leadership seminars, national conferences, planning meeting, or we had a conference structure. Okay. How we would induct people, how they would go by conference, developing an AIESEC. So the first, I think, big national conference happened in 2000. So like before 2000, we had the national planning meeting, few people getting together, the people that I said who revived AIESEC. We had about 10-15 people in that meeting. Manoj actually supported, like he's the one who gave that idea, you need to go and plan out the future of AIESEC and how it should be. And he's the one who suggested that you need to have an international member in your MC team, because otherwise you will be thinking only inside the box, you won't get outside ideas. So that's how we started thinking, okay, we need to get an international member, and that really made the biggest change in AIESEC in
This
Sri
was
Lanka.
the CASI team who took part, like the international member or member committee?
No, we actually to do, like, since we did not know much about exchanges, we got down a person from Slovakia, Dasha. I mean, AIESEC is not about names, but I'm mentioning few names because
in the future, if they want to do a podcast again, they can get those people. Because it was so difficult for me to find out.
So Dasha coming in here made a big difference during Padma Festival. She was the and then there was one intern again from Slovakia, Stevo. If you search, like, he did like his exchange experience was popular globally. Every AIESEC country was showcasing that experience to gather people to go on exchanges. So that really created the cultural difference that an exchange experience is the core to our learning. So that's how we started. So our first, that's sort of a large scale national conference, about more than 100 people attending, happened in 2000 in MA Studio. So that's like sort of the birthplace of AIESEC conferences. I think for such a long years, I probably it has been the place that we were doing conferences.
I think so that was any particular reason why you all headed outside, like Colombo?
That was the affordable place, probably.
Makes sense. And while we're in the topic of conference and all, can you tell us, like, what was your most memorable conference? I mean, it might be difficult. Yeah.
Most memorable conference. For any member, I think their first conference is usually very memorable. But for me, maybe I would say the first conference I attended as an LCP elect. That was in 2019. I believe it was the NLDS. The conference itself was amazing. Like the FACIs, the sessions, everything was amazing. The team, the OC, everyone did a really good job. But for me, what put that conference on a different level was the personal experience for me. Because I was an LCP elect back then. I was leading my delegation from my LC. And essentially, I was responsible for making sure that 25 little kids behaved and they were representing the LC very well. That was the first time, I think, in AIESEC that I had a big, or it's a huge responsibility. And with that, transiting from being an LCVP to an LCP elect, knowing the role or the heaviness of the role through that conference, it was an amazing experience.
Nice. So actually, I think we're still in the topic of conferences and all. I want to know, as you mentioned, MS Sulhiri as well. So IPM 2004, that was the very first time we had IPM in Sri Lanka International Presidents Meeting. So you all had the opening ceremony there as well, right? Yes. So if you can paint us a picture of how IPM was part of, how did you all get it there, and what's the story of IPM?
Yeah, so after the revival, planned to unplanned, we were doing really well. Like the numbers were very small to compare to 1,500. In 2000, we did one exchange just to keep our membership, and then it grew to 7 during Padma Festival, so 700% increase. So even the fastest growing country in the entire network, right? Why doing just 7 exchanges? But then week after, like the year after, when Sipan came in because of these changes, 37 exchanges, still 500% growth, and the experience of Stevo's exchange, that story going out, we had the best country providing best exchange experience. Then again, second fastest growing country in the network. So we were sort of internationally heavily recognized. So people wanted to have, so we thought, okay, the next step is an international conference. So we thought of having IC, but then IC at that time, anyway, like those days, like 600 delegates, it's way too big. And also the organization was growing. We were setting up our systems, finances, training programs. So we felt if we have a very big conference, it will break down the system that we were trying to develop. Because members were the focus, developing them, creating a pathway is critical. So we thought, okay, IC, no, we'll apply for IPM. We've applied IPM, we did not get it, and then there was no one to host IPM. So again, it came back to us. So that's how we got the IPM to be hosted in Sri Lanka.
So I think with what Sipanaya and Damitha have all done, like create like a proper structure in the very beginning 2000s. So I think with that quite helped us to grow to what we were back in 2017, like 15, 16, as you mentioned, Kaneel. So I want to know, what was it like, if you can elaborate a bit more, like the time period before, like in 2019 also, we were planning to have IC again, but Easter attack happened, and then it did not stop. Like Corona happened, so you were part of everything, right? What was it like before the time period of Corona? How did you all had all the membership engagement and all?
Right. I think like before COVID, before these attacks, AIESEC was entirely about exchanges. Yes, we had BD, yes, we had a lot of back office functions that we were running, but exchanges was, as Damitha mentioned, the core of everything that we do. Every single member, every single LCVP was dedicated upon getting that approval, getting that realization, getting that completion. It was like when I was a TL, it was burned into our heads that you need to get this 100% completion rate. It is something that was always, like, let's say, preached to us in a sense. So that was entirely there. The entire membership, regardless of which function you were from, whether you were back office or front office, were dedicated towards making those exchanges happen. To a certain extent, I believe Sri Lanka might have gone too far. We sacrificed numbers for the sake of quality. There was a bunch of, I think, issues back then around 17 or 2018 where the global network wasn't very happy with us because we were not delivering high quality exchanges, but we were doing big numbers, so we did have a lot of recognition inside the network.
I think back in IPM also we had like most innovative chapter, and then we progressed. So I think that's because we started small, so we had more chance to grow and show that. And I think back then, how was the recognition? Did we also like win global awards to be in the top in the 15 because we were doing 1,000?
I'm not very sure if we won awards because even though we were doing 1,500 exchanges, entities like Turkey, India, Indonesia, they were doing a lot more than we were. As in, before COVID, AIESEC was doing close, I'm not really sure what the number is, but a lot more exchanges than post-COVID. So even though 1,500 might sound like a lot now, back then I believe it was not even in the top 10.
So while we are still in the topic of Corona, so during Corona, you were in LCP, and then you went into like MCVP position as well.
Yes.
Right. So can you paint the picture? How did I think exchanges stopped, right? They had bought all the exchanges. What was it like during? So what were y'all like? It was so exchange driven, and then suddenly move into this. What was it like?
It was confusing, to be honest. Like Damitha mentioned earlier as well, our membership was dedicated to doing exchanges. Then in the span of 2 weeks, we went from doing, I don't know, so many exchanges a week to 0 exchanges. We had to completely cancel all of the realizations we were doing. We had to break all of our approvals. So as an LCP, me and my EB, we were very confused about what can AIESEC be if you're not doing exchanges. And worse, what do we do when we can't physically even meet our members? So I remember in the initial 3 months or so of COVID, we were always thinking, it's okay, COVID will only be there for 3 months. Let's get through this and then let's restart exchanges again.
Okay.
Little did we know that was last.
That was not the case.
Yeah, little did we know it would last for 2.5 years or so. So our initial focus was a lot on keeping our membership engaged. We tried to do a lot of virtual engagement sessions, virtual events, etc. I think Japura JLC back then did a lot of great events. Likewise, every single LC and in the MC as well did as many virtual engagement events to, one, to keep the membership engaged, and two, to make sure that AIESEC in Sri Lanka would still be financially sustainable. Because one of the biggest concerns back then was whether AIESEC in Sri Lanka would run out of money. So we had to raise a lot of BD even when companies were cutting down their budgets, and we didn't have a great value proposition to offer as well. We are essentially in survival mode, trying to keep the organization going, trying whatever we can to see what would work.
That's nice. So in that case, one thing I feel like no matter what, because we get thrown like from Easter tag to Corona and everything. So I think no matter what is thrown at AIESEC, I feel like we somehow sustain, we still keep growing, right? I mean, we did not stop. So Damitha, why do you think that is it? Like what's there in AIESEC core that allows us to do that?
Yeah, I mean, to add to what you said, it's very interesting. Anyone who's studying about organizations in Sri Lanka, I'm not talking about big corporates, and even if you compare with those, AIESEC has not just survived; it has grown, expanded, and still a thriving organization. If you look at the universities, any entity that stays for longer than AIESEC, with some sort of activity, is Antare, the Inter-University Student Federation, which is a political outfit.
Yeah.
But other than that, AIESEC is the one that has kept on growing, expanding, and continuously improving. So that's a very good way to look at why, because even as a country, we need such models to see how we keep on striving and becoming better. It's like the All Blacks rugby team. You do better and you do even better.
Yeah.
So why AIESEC has grown? I think one is the structures that we have put in place. For AIESEC, it is the person, the member, how that person develops with experiences. So we have put down structures to ensure that, no matter how the individual changes, the system is there to, develop a person, give them opportunities, and the core values are very important. AIESEC International is there, they have a particular goal, but we always thinking like while being an international organization, what is important to Sri Lanka?
Yeah.
We value diversity, so we ensure that we expand, go to other universities who do not have the opportunities. We put a great effort into that, and our leadership does not rotten in one place. Every maximum 4 years, one person can stay 4 to 5 years. So leadership changes, and once it changes, it comes with very good training, knowing what Kaneel said, going to a conference as an LCP, leading a team. Nowhere else in the university system you can get that experience. So a set of LCPs getting that experience in 10, 15 universities is great. So that system then continuously growing, because as I mentioned, international leadership, people coming in, so we work with them. It's not comfortable. We get challenged all the time. Their culture is different, our culture is different, our people going out. So that continuously innovating nature has kept AIESEC going.
That's quite true. So, with what Damitha has said, Kaneel, do you think that is the reason why that after Corona and when we started the exchanges again, the reason why we were able to bounce back right away, or do you have any other reasons you think?
No, I think you probably nailed it. AIESEC in Sri Lanka, I would say, has always been a very resilient organization, regardless of what the world throws at it.
Yes.
It has always been able to catch it and recover better than it had before. Like, for example, during COVID, a lot of the entities around the world, they were reducing their membership. But AIESEC in Sri Lanka, I believe, is the only entity that actually grew their membership during this time. We went from like 1,000 members to 2,000 members in a span of 3 or 4 years. We went from 8 entities to 15 or so. With the new official expansions, we started the National Expansions Board, things like that. We made sure that even though we weren't able to do what makes AIESEC, we were still trying to give as many good experiences to young people in Sri Lanka. I think keeping that at AIESEC's core made us survive this area and actually come out very strong in the end.
And yeah, so that's actually quite a lot of unpacking here. And I do have like a very fun question not relevant to Corona and all. Just what's your favorite jive? By any chance?
I think you go first.
I have a feeling Damitha is like wanting to answer this question for some time now.
I was never a huge fan of jives when I was in AIESEC, so this is going to be a difficult one. I can't remember the name of the song, but there was an AI 1516 roll call, I believe. There was a girl in red in it and a bunch of other people. That's all I remember.
That's a song. I think probably we can Google and find it after this. But Damitha, what's yours?
I have two.
Okay.
One is our One Life in New Millennium, which we did for the IPM CC. And another one for the AP region, we had the one. I don't know the song name of the song. It's a Chinese thing. It says "Whoa, yeah." That's
I mean, that is also like jive is also like a big part of AIESEC that allows us to keep live and like move forward with it. I mean, it's a different way of connecting. I'm pretty sure, how did you you mentioned about the whole rugby team joining? The whole rugby team did dance with these jives?
most of the people is just fun different size of people.
I mean, I actually can't imagine it. I mean, honestly. So, okay, one final question we wrap this up is, in your opinion, what are 3 things that every AIESEC should experience in the AIESEC journey?
Okay. I want to be as generic as possible. I would say going on exchange, but since I didn't go on one, I'm not going to say that. Definitely maybe having a P role like LCP, OCP or MCP. That is a very life-changing experience like you won't get anywhere else inside, like rather at your young age, you won't get an experience like that. 2, maybe attend an international conference. National conferences are great, I'm not saying they're not, but it's a completely different vibe when you go to an international conference. You get to meet people from so many different countries and learn the differences in all the entities across the world, like the cultural differences. It's very
Cross-cultural experience.
exactly close. If I had to pick a 3rd one, I would say.
Do you think and like come back?
Sure, we can think of come.
Okay, so what he said he's not going to say. I say you should do it because it is AIESEC. You have to go on exchange.
Yeah.
That's where you really shake yourself and get that experience. being in a different culture, what you experience it's a totally different thing.
So you're
So-
saying that because you have gone on an exchange?
No, that's what we inculcate. You know,
Yeah.
without getting that experience, you would not know how another person would feel like when you are not in your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So because I switch back, why AIESEC was started originally was after the Second World War to connect the youth in the world. People fight, people have disagreements because you don't understand how another person
Totally.
is. So exchange experience is
Exactly.
number one. Second is a leadership position, definitely. Even if it's not a P position, but in a group of people, if you have to lead to get that experience, you know, the responsibility that you get, you're all in alone when you in that position. It's a very totally different feeling. One, two, third one is a conference, definitely. Yeah, at least a national level conference where a large gathering is there to feel that, you know, whole different vibe.
Yes, and final.
I would go with a slightly controversial one. I would
Yeah.
say getting yelled at by an EP. I don't think you had a good AIESEC
Okay,
experience.
that is quite a good one. I think, yeah, that's one. So I think that wraps up our conversation with Zen. It was quite a big journey. I mean, we covered like almost more than 20 year period here. And thank you so much for joining with us today. And everyone out there, stay tuned with us for the next couple of episodes that we have in plan. And see you again in the next episode.